Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 229 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. I'll be your host this evening. Jody and Mondo couldn't make it, but we have two wonderful guests. First, we have Josh from the Smashed Cinema YouTube channel. Welcome, Josh.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. And coming back to us is Zena, the real queen of horror from the Bloody Disgusting podcast. Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure as always. Josh, since this is your first time here, why don't you give us a quick rundown of your channel?
Well, Smash Cinema, we pretty much are on YouTube and Instagram. We do movie reviews, movie lists. I do unboxings of certain, like the blind box toys, the Tiny Nightmares. I've been doing that lately. But yeah, our channel actually started back in 2014 under a different name called Main Event Pong, where we did a 180 on this stuff. And that's the stuff that got us all the subs that we do. And then one day I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. Couple of year hiatus, then I came back to start doing this, and I'll still just get people asking for the stuff we used to do because that's the way it is. People love nostalgia.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It is.
Nostalgia, I mean,
Over here. Look around.
Yes, it's all around you.
Great. And then Zena, what's shaking over at Bloody Disgusting?
We're just doing some awesome things, spreading that horror love. If you are looking for like a podcast that gives you like the news, movie recommendations, video game recommendations, book recommendations, feel free to listen. We have a new episode every Wednesday.
Awesome. And shout out to Shelby. She's always a fun
Shelby's
listen
so awesome.
as well. All right. Before we get into things, I just want to give a shout out for our Patreon, where we have mini review episodes, usually about 20 minutes in length, where we just kind of cut through everything and give you reviews, sometimes newer, usually newer movies, sometimes older, just depending on what we're in the mood for. We have reviews for some of last year's best movies, such as Weapons, Companion, Ugly Stepsister, Him, Together, Begonia, Good Boy. We recently did one for Stranger Things season 5, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. And a little bit after you're hearing this, we'll have a mini review out about Scream 7 and just some Scream talk in general with our good friend Allison from the Who's There podcast. Those are all available on our Patreon at the $3 and above a month episode. And if you just want to give us a little bit of support, you can always do the $1 level as well. All right. So we're continuing our coverage of Masters of Horror with the Dario Argento directed episode Jenifer. And this is an episode that I guess is a fan favorite because both of you specifically requested to come and talk about that. So we're going to get into all that. First, I'm going to do a plot synopsis. All right. So the story begins with a police officer named Frank, played by the wonderful Steven Weber, discovering a disheveled man in a secluded area attempting to kill a young woman with a meat cleaver. Despite the man's frantic warnings that Frank doesn't know what she is, Frank shoots and kills him to save the girl. He soon discovers that the woman, Jenifer, has a beautiful body, but her face is horribly disfigured with pitch black eyes and a malformed, fanged mouth. Feeling a strange sense of responsibility and a growing, inexplicable sexual obsession, Frank rescues Jenifer from a psychiatric hospital and brings her into his home. The decision immediately alienates his wife, Ruby, and their son. Jenifer is mute and acts with animalistic, feral instincts. The situation turns deadly when Jenifer attacks the family cat and eventually eats it, violently attacks Ruby, forcing Frank to choose between his family and Jenifer. And she kills and partially devours a young neighbor girl. Now, fully under Jenifer's spell, Frank flees with her to a remote cabin. He takes a job to support them while his mental state is rapidly deteriorating into alcoholism. Despite his attempts to control her, including a failed plan to sell her to the circus, he remains obsessed with her. The breaking point comes when Frank discovers Jenifer eating the son of his new employer. Realizing that Jenifer is an unstoppable monster, often interpreted as a succubus or siren, Frank drags her into the woods to kill her. Just as he is about to strike, he is shot and killed by a passing hunter who believes that he is saving a helpless, disfigured woman from a maniac. The episode ends on a grim cycle as the hunter moves to comfort Jenifer, becoming her new caretaker and victim. And that is Jenifer. But we have a special little treat to tell us more about this episode.
And I always remembered this story. And I was actually working with Mick on the miniseries called Desperation that he directed, based on a Stephen King story. And one day in between shots, he was telling me about this Masters of Horror series. I said, I think I have a story. Listen to this. And I told him about the story. I think I was able to somehow find the comic book. Oh, because I think I had the original Creepy magazine, which I had it or something. And he said, well, why don't you write it? I said, okay. And I wrote it. He helped me with it. And before you know it, he had chosen it to be one of the episodes, which I was thrilled about. And then he said, oh, and Dario Argento is going to be directing it. And when I woke up after that, because I think I fell to the ground, hit my head on a table, I was thrilled to work with this master of horror. And so I don't know when it happened, maybe the following year or sometime within that next year, went into production.
All right. So for those listening to the audio only version, that is Steven Weber, who not only starred in this episode, but wrote the screenplay for it based off of a episode issue of Creepy, an old comic book from the 70s. And that is actually an excerpt from the interview I got to do with Steven Weber, where we talk about his Tales from the Crypt episode, the Shining miniseries he did with Mick Garrison, and his work on Dracula, Dead and Loving It by Mel Brooks. So that interview will be out later this week once this episode comes out. So please go check that out. All right. Now, Zena, let's start with you. Tell me what you think about this episode, why it impacts you so much. You specifically want to talk about this episode.
Yeah, well, first, awesome job with that interview. But
Thank you.
of course, yeah, I saw that you were talking about like this series, and Masters of Horror is like one of my all-time favorite series ever. I still wish that we will get like another season. Don't you guys feel like it's time? Like we should just have one.
You know, it feels like we're in the early 2000s again, for better or for worse, in many respects.
Yeah.
So I think
I don't know. Maybe I'm just greedy. But anyway, I know there's Spirit Self, and a lot of people compare that one. But, you know, I already watched all of it, so I'm greedy and I want more.
Yeah.
But back
Did
to
you watch,
this one.
Cabinet of Curiosities? That's pretty cool.
I did start watching it, but then for some reason I stopped. So now this must be a sign for me to go back and check it out. Yeah, this episode to me is just so sleazy, tragic, and shocking, and just gross. And for some reason, I just couldn't keep my eyes off of it. And when I first watched it, I think I was like a teenager. I think I was in high school, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" And it was on HBO, I think, or Showtime at night.
Showtime, yeah. Showtime.
Yeah, and it's just like it was on late. So I watched it, and I'm just thinking, seeing the name Dario Argento, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Being such a big fan of Phenomenon and stuff. So I'm like, all right, cool. So watching it, and it just went in a direction that you kind of knew was going to come back, because of course it's going to come back and bite you. Like, I don't know what Frank was thinking. So my point is, I just love how this one, it showcases how just this man is just morally just weak, and he's hypnotized by this beautiful yet monstrous being, and then it just starts spiraling. Like, it's like a domino effect where things just keep on just getting worse. And then ultimately, another reason why is just I love how this episode, it gets ugly, it gets uncomfortable, but at the same time, it is mesmerizing. Like, there's just something about it. And then even the way Jenifer looks, it's just it's brutal. Like, it's a good mix between it. So I don't know, it's one of my favorite ones, just because thinking about all the series, this one to me is like the nastiest one. So
you think it's nastier than the Takashi Miike episode?
I think it depends on my mood, but no, they're both pretty up there. But this one I always go back to this one just because I feel like this was like one of the first ones that shocked me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the strengths of the series as a whole, that it had the space to go there. A lot of other shows couldn't.
Yeah, and truly it's like, you get the title Masters of Horror. So there's like different Masters of Horror like playing their hand at it, and he truly showcased Dario Argento, like, you know what I mean? He showcased it, and then even, shout out to Steven Weber with, writing this. So yeah, it's just like a great mix, because one of another episode I like that is pretty cheesy, so tame, so goosebumps, the V Word. That one has, you know what I mean? I feel like you can show like a kid that one, and I think they'll be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, what do you think?
Well, same as Zena. I watched this one a while ago. Actually, I got the DVD back at a DVD Planet in Rancho Cucamonga. They had this big, gigantic horror section, and my wife is a big Argento fan. So we saw two of them. We saw Imprint and we saw Jenifer, and we picked them up blind. And so we are notorious blind buyers. I mean, if I could show you the stuff in my other room that I've purchased from like Vinegar Syndrome or Severin that still hasn't even been opened and still hasn't been watched yet. I got a problem. But so we pop in Jenifer, and we're watching it, getting into it, seeing what's going on with, and then it just overall it's a Skinamax horror movie, essentially, minus the sexy sax. It's got great Claudio Simonetti score, which is always welcome. You got to love Goblin. But I was rewatching it today, and I was like nitpicking certain things here, and it's like, for one, Frank is a flawed person. He's got his demons, he's got his issues. You could see that when he gets home with his wife, and you could see that there's a little bit of tension there. You got the teenage son who's just like, but he gets scratched or whatever by Jenifer, and I think it's over from there. I mean, I firmly believe she's like, even though Dario Argento was like, she's an alien, she's an animal or something like that, I think she's more of a succubus, which I think Jason mentioned earlier. Yeah. And I think he was infected, but I think also the fact that it, with Frank specifically, that it kind of merged with his other demons, and that's why he couldn't control himself, because he's got his freaking, he sells out his family, and the fact that he hangs on to it after he kills Jenifer kills the family cat, kills the neighbor child, and then they head for the hills for more nookie ookie and trying to I don't know. It's just, I guess it's part of like addiction in a way, where it's just like, he couldn't stop whatsoever, even though she, he was addicted to her, and she came back, always clamoring for more. But I think that in turn, with her, she also needed that. She needed meat. She needed nookie. So I think that was just, that was like, that was her big thing. Well said. Excuse me. But yeah, and rewatching it today, I do like how raw it is and how brutal it gets, especially with like at the bottom of the stairs, and you're seeing for some reason with horror movies, if you see dead kids, you kind of get a thumbs up for me, because that shows that you got balls to actually do something that maybe you shouldn't be watching, but in any case, rewatching it 20 years later after watching it for the first time, I mean, the only thing I could see on there was unfortunately, I saw parallels of Jenifer with the women from the Trump administration. I'm like, you merge all them together and you get Jenifer.
Yeah.
I don't know. That I'll stop with that with the politics, but it was in my head.
I will say something I think is pretty cool, Josh, with you mentioning it's been like a while since you like rewatched it, right? So same for me. I rewatched it last night, and there was one thing that's super small that I'm just like what? Okay, besides from all like the ridiculous stuff that Frank was doing, and it was already previous that he clearly had his issues already, something weird going on between him and his wife, his son eating bread rolls. I don't know. But the little girl, the next door neighbor, why was she out at night? You guys remember that? It was like, I was so bold, because I remembered like, something's going to happen to her. It's like, wait a minute. It is nighttime and she's a little girl and she's out. Where's your mother? So I just thought that was weird.
Yeah, he gets home and she sees it's like, oh hi, and he's like, he's like, go home.
And she shut up.
The directing is great, but it's also got like a dream like a lot of Argento things. It's got like kind of a dreamlike kind of fairy tale vibe to it. And it's interesting that now thinking about it, yeah, because they make a point of showing that she scratched him.
Yeah.
And they like look at it once more, but then I don't think they ever come back to that. And that's not in the original comic. I was reading that earlier to get those screenshots. So I'm curious if they were meant to show that it was more of there's maybe not supernatural, but there was something else that was affecting him. Or it's just like a cat scratch fever, or
like some kind of a toxin or something like that. Because you can see when he's it's also weird to me too. He's going back to the precinct to do everything, and he has to go visit with the shrink, which I don't think he ever does, because they he stops being a cop after he gets home with after he gets home from the loony bin. But he's at his bathroom window or bathroom mirror, and you can see him trying to suck out, like he's thinking, oh wait, is there venom in here? I'm like, shouldn't you have been doing something about that hours ago during your deposition and all this other stuff that you were?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was weird, where he's just like looking at like, huh, that's a deep cut.
But again, I don't know if I like the idea that he doesn't have agency or not. It kind of makes it even more tragic if it's all his own fault, if he's not being affected by anything per se. It never really gives us like any acknowledgement one way or the other, and it's more tragic if it's just like he's just she just brings out those flaws in him.
I wonder.
You saw with the sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. I wonder if it is kind of what Josh said, where it's just like kind of like she put something in him, but then also it mixed in with his own stuff. Not saying that he would have physically harmed his family, but I'm pretty sure he's probably was going to leave his wife he just seemed miserable. Like if he ever got out of that lazy mentality, wanting to do something, I'm pretty sure he would have just left. So I feel like she probably brought something out of him, because even with the previous guy, I'm pretty sure the same thing happened. And it's like a cycle that just keeps going on.
Which is very dovetails well with The Shining in his interpretation of the Jack Torrance character.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, like with the other guy, because they mentioned him in the plot there about how he was a well-to-do, he had a family, he was like I think he was like a professor or something like that, but he was, it's like, it seems like after a while with Jenifer, he joined the trenchcoat mafia, because they were both just out there, just like, they had the red under their eyes and stuff like that. But you could see when he was working at the store that he had less of that crazed look. He's like, I feel like more like myself again and whatnot. And then of course they're gonna kill the kid of the shop owner and whatnot. But it's definitely definitely when he was at home. I mean, you saw like he went right for the cupboard, right for the drink, and the wife's just like, all right, what happened now? And it's and then it's like, oh, I killed somebody. Oh. And then she's like, oh, okay, maybe this might be a little bit much. But then he's extra rough with her later on the night after a while of not, doing their thing. But
thinking about Jenifer for some reason, he's infected.
And that's where I feel like, it might be a bit more of like an actual toxin. But then again, I don't know. It like Jason said, it's a lot funner to think it's all really more so his psyche rather than something that's chemically brought on.
Two things I want to point out more like behind the scenes. The shop owner that he goes to work for, that's I'm blanking on her name, but Mick Garris's wife.
Oh, awesome.
Who also plays the lady in the bathtub in the Shining miniseries.
Very cool.
So that was a nice little reading bit. Another thing I like as I'm rewatching these, 20 years later, is just to see like things that might date whenever I watch media after the decades after the fact, what dates it to a time period, because some of these can be very dated, some of these can be pretty much any time. But The Sun was very that angsty 2000s emo kid. I don't know how else to say it.
Anarchy on his spray paint on his door.
Listening to Slipknot records. And I thought I got a kick out of that. And he actually makes a reference to a Morlock which is again a random thing for a kid in that at that age and that time to make reference to. But that was Steven said in the interview that was something that's how he described Jenifer to people when he was while they're in production. I think Morlock.
Well, a question for you two, if it's cool. Do you guys think that Frank is a bad person?
Yeah, we talk about that in the interview because he sent that great question. He's got demons. I don't know. Yeah, I think there's definitely shades.
Yeah,
I think that's more. I think he plays it more realistic. And again, this is like a very typical when Steven Weber does, The Shining or the Tales from the Crypt episode. These kind of characters, he plays a person who has the capability or like is like baseline good, but just gets into these situations and these vices that lead him down a dark path.
Yeah.
So like I don't. It's kind of one of those things. It's his nature. And like kind of like how Jenifer, I don't think she's a villain per se. I think that it's her nature, and she's trying to be. She's not getting. She should have stayed in a psychiatric ward. It's probably the best thing for her. But being but these men keep trying to white knight her and use her for their own means, and I don't know. It's very gray. That's how I think of it.
I wouldn't say he's a bad person per se, because if he was a bad person, especially like a dirty cop, so to speak, then he probably, obviously he was with his partner, so he had to tell his partner to call it in, but he didn't try and find any sort of way to like make it, like he had good intentions when he was saving Jenifer from the get-go. I mean, that's his job, but I feel like even if he wasn't a cop, he probably would have tried to save her. Just because he's seeing some guy with a meat cleaver about to behead, a woman who's crying and tied up and stuff like that. I'm not going to say I wouldn't be the same. I'd be the same way. I'd be trying to help, not knowing what's going on. But I think that's just, in the nature of wanting to help your fellow man. But he is definitely flawed. He's definitely got his demons, whether it be alcoholism or anger management or whatnot. But definitely more so than not. I mean, he's definitely not, I wouldn't say he's a bad person, but he's definitely not a great person. He is like Jason was saying, like the gray area. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with both because, and I've been thinking about that, and I was just really curious to hear what Steven would say, but I think that it's hard to say because he was doing his job, but he was being like a good Samaritan. You see that she's in danger, but then later on, it's like he knows that she's dangerous. Like he witnessed her violence. He understands like the consequences, but for some reason, he still chooses her, and he chooses her over his family. And then not even just that, but just basic morality. You know what I mean? Where it's just like she's doing these terrible things, and it just seems like he's just like intoxicated with her. Like, you know what I mean? Like they live in their own bubble. But it is true. Whenever he was away from her and he was like around, like even the shopkeeper, it was just, he seemed normal. And I love that scene so much when he's just putting away some boxes. And then we see her staring, from across the street. And then from there, it's like, I don't know, she wants revenge. But anyway, I just feel like it is like a very gray area, and it's hard to see,
But that's what makes it more interesting, more memorable.
I actually got a lot of humor out of that scene, actually, and it makes me think that Jenifer does have more going on up there than just Meat and Nookie, because of the fact that she knew to wear a hoodie, to be incognito across the street to spy on the guy. And I'm noticing that for the first time watching this here. I'm like, wait a minute, she's not as animalistic as we're led to believe here. She's actually got something else going on there. She has the somewhat smarts to be like, I gotta hide a little bit here, even though her face is still coming out of that hoodie in all its glory.
That scene made me laugh for some reason. I forgot all about it. He just looks so happy and refreshed. And then you just see her across the street, and then you just see her walking away with her flats on, and then the next scene, like she's running in the woods, going after a teenage boy. Like, it's wild. Like, Jennifer, chill out. But I guess she wanted
Yeah, that did feel a little padding. again, it's based on like a 10-page, if that, comic book. So sometimes you have to take things a little bit further to hit the content that you need. But I do want to shout out though Carrie and Fleming, who plays Jenifer. I think she does a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
Working, it's so hard to emote through heavy prosthetics like that. You need a very specific physicality. And I think she does that. That is a really, really good performance.
Yes.
And it'd be interesting to see her in more stuff because she's in like the iZombie series. That's kind of her biggest thing. She was in Supernatural for a couple episodes. She's done mostly TV stuff.
Yeah.
But I was actually very impressed with how she did this role. And I know it's like a cliche to say that someone's being quote brave, to be like to show nudity and stuff, but I think to the physicality she adds to those scenes was very impressive.
Yeah. I agree with you. She definitely has like a presence where it's just like, I'm so curious about the character Jenifer. Like, even though I know that she's terrible, but you want to know more about her. You want to know where she comes from. And, obviously if this, not saying it would be, but if this series was still going on, I wonder what kind of, say if Dario Argento decided to like come out with a new one or like a remake of it. I wonder, what kind of shoes he would put her in. Cause I feel like there's still so many options,
Right. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see like what would happen. What happens next to the next character? Like, where does the cycle stop?
Yeah.
And
is it only guys? Does she only go after guys?
True.
So, yeah.
That is very true. I don't know. That'd be an interesting twist on the succubus. Which interesting because we'll come back to the succubus theme in a little bit. I'm gonna put a pin in that. But all right. Any other final thoughts before we do our episode rating?
Sleazy, trashy goodness.
Yeah.
As only Argento
when he said this, I'm like, yeah, those are all great things. That's what you're here for.
Sleazy, trashy goodness. Yep.
I mean that in a way when I'm saying that.
You mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
It gave me Phantom of the Opera vibes from Argento's version of Phantom of the Opera. It's the same. Super sleazy, but it's also very grandiose and very colorful and wacky. At one point, you've got the rat catcher and his little person colleague driving around on a little cart in the tunnels trying to catch rats, and they're just cutting the tails off of them and stuff. And it's just like this wacky, super sped up, very gonzo scene. And then of course it's got his daughter in all of, in her birthday suit nonstop, which that probably was very awkward to film.
Yeah.
All right. So we do our episode ratings 0 to 5, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst. You can do half points. Josh, what would you give this episode?
Oh boy, you had to start with me, didn't you?
Start somewhere.
I'm kind of around the 3.5 range myself. I'm kind of around 3.5 to where, and that's like kind of like my sweet spot, I think.
All right. And again, this is just your personal, because obviously you haven't been watching through them like I have, and it's been a while. So, Zena. Zena, what would you rate this?
So sorry about that. My computer is free. I will give it. At first, I was going to give it a 4. But then, rewatching it, there's a lot of stuff that's just like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. But I'm still going to give it a 4 because I love this one. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I don't know. I really enjoy this. I love Steven Weber's performance, and I love the direction and the actress. It's definitely made me skeeved out. So I'm going 4.5. I really did like this one quite a bit. Yeah, if it makes my skin crawl, but still keeps me interested, that's always a good thing.
It's mesmerizing.
Yeah. So I was into it. All right, let's do a quick break for our shout outs, and then we'll move on to our next segment.
Hey there, I'm Stephen Weber from Stephen King's The Shining, Dracula, Dead and Loving It, and Tales from the Crypt. And you're listening to Dads from the Crypt.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he was a great guy. I'll say that. He was really fun, really cool. I love when people he was on Wings, he was on Must See TV.
Yeah.
All right. Since Jody Monda's not here to do song of the day, I did some very quick Googling when I realized he wasn't going to be here. And I actually came up with a good connection. So there's a song by the band Hole from their 1994 Live Through This named Jenifer's Body.
Mm-hmm.
That was taken for the movie about a succubus named Jenifer's Body. And this has a character episode named Jenifer.
Very cool.
That's my connection. Obviously the comic came way before this, and I'm pretty sure Courtney Lowe didn't read that and make a whole song about it. Maybe not. If she's listening, she can let us know. But yeah, that's a fun little connection there. All right. Next, we usually do horror news, and that's usually Jody's thing. I don't have anything prepared. Zena, but if there's any movies that we're looking forward to or that you've seen recently you want to shout out, Zena, you're telling me about one that you're going to do a watch along for off Screenbox.
Let me do.
Since you work for the horror publication that we usually go to.
I know. It's just kind of like
horror news. Is the source.
I could mention that one, or let me just pull up my queue list real quick, and I can give like a.
Josh, anything you want to shout out?
Oh boy, I mean, we got Ready or Not 2 coming out in a few weeks, which I'm looking forward to quite a bit. And what was that one movie that's coming out? I saw a trailer for it at AMC. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up my watch list now. They Will Kill You.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
They Will Kill You looks like fun, even though it looks like Ready or Not. But the camera style and all that other stuff, and just the over the top gore, it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to Hokum. Hopefully they play that at Overlook when I'm out there in April. Oh boy.
So which one's They Will Kill You? Is that the one with Samara Weaving?
Ready or Not 2, yeah, is the one with.
No, there's another one with Samara. Oh, They Will Kill You. Yeah, that's the one that looked.
Oh, that's Zozie. What's his name? Zazie
Beetz.
Zazie Beetz.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that looked like a fun. The trailer looked like a giveaway a lot more.
Oh yeah.
So I'm hoping there's more to it.
Yeah. Especially because it was a Red Band trailer, if I'm not mistaken, and the Red Band trailer was showing a lot, kind of like Scary Movie 6. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard there's a trailer before Scream 7, so I'm very excited to watch that.
And it's like, a Red Band.
And I feel like we need it. We need some fun.
We do.
Yes.
It's a perfect time for it to come back. And I overheard them say too, like, if that does well, they're going to do White Chicks 2. They're going to do Don't Be a Menace to South Central 2 and stuff like that. If this one does well. My wife's been on one about rewatching Don't Be a Menace to South Central. I'm still going to find it.
As a kid, like when I watched it, there was a lot of things that flew over my head. But, every single time, like, the whole thing after they say something like touching and then it's just like message, it's just like, oh my God, that is a message. So it's like a cool little touch that they put up there. Movies that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Well, first, there's a really cool movie on Screenbox called Blood Barn. I had a lot of fun with it. It's super short. It's only like an hour and 15 minutes. If you love like very silly, over the top, like late 70s, early 80s type of horror movies, this is going to be your jam. It's basically about these camp counselors. They go hang out at this girl's family's barn. And I'm not going to lie. It's like, obviously that sounds like a horror movie, but the barn is pretty cool. I would hang out there and I watch horror movies all the time and there could be horrible things happening. But yeah, it's very indie. It's very just slasher fun. There's a lot of funny things happening in there. And then also movies that I'm really looking forward to checking out. Dolly hits theaters next week. And then
It's
also
so good. It's so good.
I'm so looking forward to seeing it. I'm sadly going to miss the screening. Bloody Disgusting is hosting a screening next Tuesday for free. So if you live in Orlando, Los Angeles, New York, Houston, and I think Chicago, you'll be able to like check it out for free. So there's that one. And then it hits theaters everywhere else on the following Friday. And Body Cam to me looks like it's going to be pretty awesome. It feels like it's it looks like it's like a VHS movie. So that's going to hit Shudder on the 13th, I believe.
Okay.
So that one
That's a
looks
movie I'm very interested in. I'm curious about how they can sustain that style for
Yeah.
for that long, because that's the kind of thing that like a lot of motion sickness. But if it's on streaming, I think that might be better because you can take a break. Like if
Yeah,
it's
Be like
I agree.
hardcore Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know how you guys feel about the Poonaverse. You know, the Poonaverse. So,
I checked out after the first one.
well, I don't know. I only watched the first one, but not on purpose. It's just, you know, we've been getting so much things. But
Sure.
Pinocchio Unstrung, you know, I don't know if you
That does sound fun.
cool. Richard Brake is in it. I saw that Robert Englund is in it. So I don't know, guys. I'm kind of on
I
board.
got some heavy hitters
Okay.
for that one.
Yeah.
That does sound
So-
kind of fun. I'm kind of into
Yeah.
that. 'Cause
It
it
might
sounds
get it
more
with
like
the
a
star
Chucky.
power.
That sounds more like a Chucky. I have no idea, no clue what it actually is, but if you do it kind of like a Chucky version of that,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of fun.
That would be. I mean, I'm here for it just on the cast alone.
Yeah.
And of course, Ready or Not looks really awesome. Holcomb,
Yeah.
I'll watch anything Damien McCarthy puts out. Like, so yeah.
Yes.
The big trailer came out this week was In the Violent Nature 2.
Oh my gosh.
That
Yeah.
looks so good. I'm excited.
I had so much fun watching that. That movie made me, I mean it as a compliment. It made me so sleepy and comfortable and cozy. And
It was. It was so relaxing.
yeah.
Except for the part on the cliff, and then I
Yeah,
think
that was
I got a
was
little
great.
I got a little too loud during that. I got excited in that, and I think I caused a couple of people to leave. I mean, let's be honest. The theater is about a quarter full. Like it was pretty empty.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, yes, you know, watching that one scene that we all know of, and then all of a sudden I just see two people get up and they walk out.
Oh.
I'm like,
I mean, there's something about a movie that definitely tries something different and goes for it, and knowing that there's gonna be a quarter of the people or whatever amount are gonna say this
that's
isn't
not
for
the
me.
audience.
They just want their the more generic version. Okay, fine, but
Mhm.
I like it when they do something different, take a risk, branch out.
Me too. We
So
also
I like the ending of that. That was pretty good. Not a lot of people like the ending. I liked the tension of the ending of that
Me
movie
too.
in the truck ride, because you're just like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna
Mhm.
happen? You're just sitting there waiting, and then no,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, okay, but still, they had you. But anyways,
How are you guys feeling about Back Rooms? We also had like a little teaser of that one.
That was interesting. I'm into it.
Same.
I think my friend saw a sneak peek of that. She said it was okay. She said it was
okay.
pretty good.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. I'll definitely give it a try.
Same.
Undertone, my wife is really looking forward to, and I know they just did the advanced screening this past week, but we couldn't make it up there. But she's definitely looking forward to that. That's one of her anticipated ones for the year. And I did see Dolly at Screenfest LA. So it's definitely within that wheelhouse, especially if you like Texas Chainsaw and things like that. It's definitely in that wheelhouse,
Okay,
but
cool.
very well done. And you got to love Sean William Scott. You know, I'll go see what he's in because he's a delight.
And I for Undertone, I'm like, all I know is it's something about podcaster horror. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, sold like Alone.
I heard the audio on that is amazing. Like
Awesome.
surround and everything like that. I hear they really go with that. It sounds like very Outwaters-y, because Outwaters is it's definitely a visual thing, but especially when you can't see anything. But the audio on that, I actually watched it on my laptop with headphones on one time, and that was oddly enough the best way to watch it, because I'm like getting everything. I'm just immersed, and it was. So I'm thinking Undertone would probably be around the same thing.
Yeah, I would think so too. I did the same thing for that movie. At first, I tried watching it at home on my regular TV. It just didn't work out and stuff like that. You get distracted. So
exactly.
What do you also think about The Bride? The Bride's also coming out next Friday.
So I'm a huge fan of pretty much anything Frankenstein related.
I'm curious.
And again, it's trying something different. It's very stylized. So after Guillermo del Toro's, which was very faithful, with a couple of twists, but overall, the quintessential Frankenstein movie, I'm really interested in seeing this very specific take on it.
Me too. Like at first, I thought I would be all Frankenstein out, but not at all. Please give us more.
I heard it's supposed to be a musical.
I I love musicals. So.
Like I'm thinking maybe it's going to be maybe like kind of like a Repo the Genetic Opera sort of thing. That's what I'm kind of anticipating, but hopefully in a good way because
I don't know. That would be a bit of a bait and switch. Like I've seen scenes of them at a club with music.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. If it is truly a musical, I'll be pretty disappointed. I don't love musicals to begin with, to a degree, but but I'm just saying, as far as advertising goes, that would be pretty false advertising if they did that.
It did get delayed an awful lot.
Yeah, it makes me wonder too. Like, well, Your Monster, as an example, with Melissa Barrera, that kind of had like music in it a little bit. So I wonder if they'll do it kind of like that, where because you know what I mean, it was kind of like a play theater. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's more just I get bored during songs. I'm like, okay, let's move along the plot. So, which is funny because I'm seeing Beetlejuice the musical in a couple weeks. So
that's so awesome. No, that sounds cool.
I'm taking my daughter to see it, so it's more like an event kind of thing.
That's still cool.
No, that should be fun.
Yeah. But I just love it already, like with some of the movies that's come out already. I feel like we had like some really good ones. Like I haven't really seen anything yet that upset me or where it's just like I hated it. Like I still haven't seen those Send Help. So I still need to see that.
I haven't seen that either. I'm like,
it's fun. It's fun. It's definitely got its, I call it the Sam Raimi-isms. So when the Sam Raimi-isms are hitting, yes, it's fantastic. But I mean, some other things, I think I gave it like a 3.5. So, you know, I think I gave it 3.5. My wife gave it a 3.5 out of 5. But no, we enjoyed it. Our top for the year is still Bone Temple.
Yeah, I rewatched Bone Temple because I think the first time, this is a thing that happens a lot, especially with sequels, where there's the movie you want it to be, and then the movie that they're really making. And I think especially with a quote something that's been kind of made jerry-rigged into a franchise, like the 28 series has. We want our zombies. We want like big zombie scenes and being chased by infected and everything. And I think Garland was very conscious saying he doesn't want to make that kind of movie. He wants to make a weirdo movie within that world. So I think the first time, especially after the first movie was like kind of a foot in both, I was kind of hoping they do more zombie stuff. So the first time I'm like, I loved the big music, the music video scene. But the rest of it, I had trouble adapting to. But watching it a second time at home, kind of in my own setting, knowing what's going to kind of understanding what I'm in for, it went down much easier.
Okay. All right. I just looked it up. I'm going to watch it tonight. I'm going to rent it tonight. I'm going to watch it. I haven't seen it yet, but I really loved 28 Years Later. I had a good time with it. I met more people where they weren't fans of it. Because they felt that they were bored or whatever the case may be. And that's fine. But I didn't find myself bored. Like I really loved it so much. And then also there was a lot of complaints about the soundtrack and saying that it didn't match the movie. And I politely disagree. Because
that wasn't my issue. My issue is I felt like it could have been condensed. I feel like both these movies could have really been condensed to a degree. I feel like one script, but they like enjoyed some of the characters so much I think they wanted to dive deeper, so they stretched into 2 movies. For better or for worse, but I'm not mad about it.
I definitely enjoyed 28 Years a lot more on the second viewing at home. I watched it the first time in the theater, and I left kind of like I should have liked that more, but I didn't. But then, I mean, I still think that Bone Temple is a better movie than 28 Years Later. Personally, but I'm not sure how I feel about it on the second viewing. Though
once you accept the movie it wants to be, it's much more focused than the first one was. I feel like the first one was like 2 or 3 like stories kind of slammed together. Yeah.
I mean, I have a question, but it might be a spoiler, and I'm not trying to spoil it for myself, but then also just in case if someone's watching and they haven't seen it. So I'll just wait to ask you off air because I'm curious about 2 particular characters and if we will see them. Are they around? What happened? Because that's what I was expecting. Okay.
Maybe not.
All right.
We can talk about we talk about off because it's still fresh.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil anything. All right, so usually we end off with some what we call dad/mentor advice. You know, we're all 3 of us, you know, we do our own little horror media little corners. Josh, you are definitely into collecting. What advice would you give about that?
Make sure your bills are paid and your stomach's full before you get into collecting.
That's good.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really good.
Look out for all that before you start getting down this rabbit hole, because it gets expensive and it gets addicting.
Mm-hmm.
I can sign off on that. Mine's not nearly as much as you have. All right. Zena, what would you say? And also, I know you're a very big Demon Knight fan. Unfortunately, you're on the other side of the coast, so I'm sure you would have been at our Demon Knight screening.
Yeah.
And you can't see it quite well by my Demon Knight piercings up here as well.
Very cool.
But I don't know if you talked about your fandom for Demon Knight. So if you want, you can mentor us on how much you love Demon Knight.
It's just one of those movies that I watched as a kid that just stuck with me. It's kind of like, I'm pretty sure this was like this for you all. Like, I watched it with my family. I was way too young and I was terrified and it gave me nightmares, but I loved it. And I kept on going back. Geraldine, I feel, is just so awesome. It was just awesome. Just also seeing like a Black woman as the final girl, seeing her on screen. And she wasn't like your regular final girls, like she came with some baggage, but it doesn't mean that she's like a bad person, because one of my also like favorite movies is Night of the Demons, Kevin Tenney's 1988, all-time classic to me. Everything about it's just perfection. So even when I think about, our final girl in that one, she was like a good girl, she would help out at school, very helpful to her mom, you know what I mean? Just a nice girl. And I'm not saying that Geraldine wasn't a nice person, but clearly she got into some trouble. So there's just this movie just has like a lot of fun things that's going on, a great cast. There's green goo, there's demons with green glowing eyeballs. It's fun. It is, and I still feel like we were robbed because we should have received the sequel. So
yeah, I mean that's the great tragedy of it, is that if it hadn't been a Tales from the Crypt property, if it wasn't jury rigged after the fact into that, it might have been like a very low budget, not nearly as well talented director or cast or anything behind it. It might have just been like, okay, some cheesy, late 80s, early 90s horror thing that just kind of came and went. But because it got attached to the Tales, but because it got attached to the Tales from the Crypt franchise, it got, a great director. It got this amazing cast.
Yeah.
But the downside of that is because it's tied to Tales from the Crypt, there's there hasn't been a sequel because of all the issues around that. So like, again, if it had been the low budget, not as good thing, there could have been like 5, straight to video sequels by now.
I would love to see more. But I mean, I'm a huge fan of also, like, I know they're not the best, but the Ritual, Bordello of Blood, I just think that they're fun.
Yeah.
We were robbed of Dead Easy and I'm still mad about it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm still mad about it.
I wouldn't hold my breath on any of these, but in 20, 30 years, when the rights go off to other corporations or to kids that just want to make a buck, don't care about the grievances and all the other toxic stuff from the past, maybe they'll let something happen. But
hopefully I'm alive to see it.
Exactly. Hopefully in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, that wraps up our episode. Again, what we're doing with these Masters of Horror episodes is we do an episode and then we usually, depending on their schedule and everything, do a movie with the same director. So next week we'll be doing a Dario Argento movie to be determined. So if you're a Dario Argento fan, please come back for that. Even if you're not an Argento fan, I'm sure you'll have a great time with us. Josh, where can people follow you?
You can find us on YouTube, Smash Cinema. On Instagram, you can find me under Main Event Pong. That's what our channel used to be called.
Okay.
All right, Zena.
You guys can find me on Instagram, Real Queen of Horror, TikTok, Real Queen of Horror, YouTube, Real Queen of Horror. And if you would like to listen to the Bloody Disgusting podcast, we're Be Disgusting Pod on everything.
Love it. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate it if you would give us a rating and review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.